So in this unit, our focus is Google Analytics. What is it? How can you use it? And what are the things that you should be careful about when you're using Google Analytics? Sorry, yeah. So Google Analytics originated from a web analytics firm called Urchin, which was acquired by Google in late 2005. Google Analytics is a free web analytics service which provides you with tools for measuring the success of a website or blogs or apps or anything nowadays. So nowadays, Google Analytics has taken up a very large uh, perspective about measuring the success of a website or a mobile site. It is free for essentially startups or small companies, but for large enterprises, they do have a paid plan. So how does it work? Well, at the core of it, whether it was 10 years back or now, the functionality or the way it works is the same. So there's a website where the Google Analytics code is embedded. When a user lands on the website, so from Google, let's say the user has searched for a particular website. Let's say the website's name is Webugator. Then essentially Google, the main site, the search engine, has referred Webugator. So in Webugator, there's a Google Analytics code which is already embedded, which immediately gets triggered that Google search engine has referred a user to the Webugator website, right? Now this data is then sent to secure Google servers, okay, where data accumulation happens, followed by analytics, uh, and that analytics or that aggregated data is then shown on the interface that as a customer, as a user, we are exposed to, right? So how does that work? Let's talk about cookies, because cookies are the trick or the magic sauce behind all of this wizardry. So Google Analytics uses first party cookies to uniquely identify individual visitors. First party cookies as in cookies that they have created of themselves, by themselves, right? So to begin the process of tracking cookie related information, the Google Analytics tracking code gets initiated by a JavaScript code called underscore GAQ, right? If you actually go to any website right now, which hopefully is using Google Analytics, which is pretty much every site, and if you do a right click and inspect element and just search for do a quick search in that inspect element, underscore GAQ, you will land up on a code which will look similar to the code which I've presented here. I'll not go deeper into how exactly this code works, but effectively what you can see is there's a script. The entire code is a JavaScript code, which you can easily see. The script type is text JavaScript. Uh, the code starts with defining a variable called underscore GAQ, which is equal to itself or to a empty array. Then in that array, uh, the account number, which is UA, which is unique to your website, unique to your account, is added, and whatever else is required to be pushed is pushed, right? And then the function runs and it creates all the additional. It basically, if you look at this line, which is number 4, https equal to document.location protocol, and so on. Essentially what is happening is this JavaScript is calling another JavaScript which is located at google-analytics.com/ga.js, which actually does the magic work. Okay, so this is largely a simple construct or simple code which you can embed on a website, which then does all the heavy lifting, right? So by visiting a website, the visitor activates this JavaScript, and in turn the cookie information gets passed over to your Google Analytics account. So Google Analytics uses a combination of persistent and temporary cookies for tracking the online behavior of visitors. And you might have seen these cookie names also if you have ever done any kind of social marketing or any kind of link based marketing. So cookies name are underscore UTMC, UTMB, UTMA, UTMZ, UTMV, right? UTMC the cookie type is temporary session identifier. It is deleted after the visitor quits the browser. UTM-B is a persistent session identifier, which expires after 30 minutes of inactivity, which I was mentioning earlier. Then UTM-A is a visitor identifier, which expires after 2 years. And UTM-Z is a campaign value, which expires after 6 months. So campaign value is basically if you're running a campaign on some topic, let's say increase traction or increase sales or increase page views or something, you can give it a proper formal name, which can then be recorded and presented in Google Analytics. If you don't do anything, then it expires after 6 months, and visitor segmentation also expires after 2 years. Next, I want to talk about metrics and dimensions in Google Analytics. Right. So this is how a basic report structure works in Google Analytics. A metric is defined as a numerical measure of the user interaction on your website. Metrics have the following characteristics. So metrics will always be expressed in the form of a number. Metrics are standalone entities. When you look at a metric in a standalone fashion, it provides you with information about the site-wide performance. And metrics will form the columns of a report structure in GA. Some of the common metrics you will find in GA are visits, page views, bounce rate, etc. And dimensions, on the other hand, have the following characteristics. So dimensions are non-numerical data fields, as you can see in the graph also, in the figure also. Unlike metrics, dimensions are not standalone entities. That is, dimensions are not generally meaningful when viewed individually. Okay. Dimensions, when coupled with metrics, provide meaningful context to the data. As you can see here, google.com has given 356 visits, which makes sense, which I can use, right? And dimensions can be used to segment a metric, right? So how many people visited google.com and how many people visited google.com from a Windows laptop, all of those things can be done. There's another important construct of filters or feature of filters in Google Analytics. So why and when to use filters? Uh, well, filters are used to clean and segment your data. Once you've collected all this data, you need filters to further fine tune that. Like I was just saying, you would like to fine tune or filter, or just want to see the people who are visiting your site from, let's say, India, or let's say from USA, right? So filters provide segmentation to gain a better understanding of a particular subset of activities happening on your website. Filters help in customizing the report so the most useful data can be highlighted. Filters can also help in cleaning up unwanted data such that irrelevant information is filtered away. And filters, by the way, only act on new data and not on historical data. So for example, if you have uh, if you applied a certain filter right now, then only the new data that is coming after today or after this moment will be filtered off. Otherwise, they will not be filtered off, right? Some of the most common filters are filters that people apply in GA are exclude all traffic from a domain, right? So it will exclude all the traffic from a domain that you specify. Okay, so you can apply reverse lookup and can filter out traffic from an ISP or the company's internal network. So you do not want to track, for example, you do not want the number to be corrupted, the internal the the web traffic numbers to be corrupted by the company's internal network. So you will simply exclude all the traffic coming from a certain ISP. You can exclude all traffic from an IP address. Similarly, you can exclude traffic from there. That also helps in filtering the company's internal traffic. Or you do not want the competitors to be checking out your website, so you can do that. You can take that extreme measure as well. uh, and include only traffic to a subdirectory. So includes only those visitors who are viewing a particular subdirectory on your website. It is useful in tracking a particular section. For example, you just want to see how many people are landing up on a sub site or a subdirectory or something. That is where you can use filters, and there are tons of filters that you can create, and it's completely up to your imagination. But this is a good um, explanation of what is possible. An important tip or important thing that I would like to explain here is You always keep the default profile without applying any filters, because you don't want to mess up with the data. You want to keep everything coming in. You want to create multiple profiles in your GA, and you keep at least one of them super pure without any filters, nothing. Okay. Adding more than one include filter to a profile can cause data to not appear in your reports. Example, if you use filters to only include certain IPs, or you have created some other filters, then data will stop coming up in your reports, and you would want at least one data source or at least one profile to have complete data, so that if you mess around and you created a wrong filter, you still have a backup, right? Filters are executed sequentially. That's another important thing to know. So filters are executed sequentially in the order they are listed in the settings. So the output from one filter serves as input for the next filter, right? So make sure that you are applying these filters in logical manner. This is risky stuff, so be very careful. Uh, you can also apply some custom filters in GA, which is exclude pattern, include pattern, search and replace, uppercase, lowercase, etc., which will help you in um, further fine tuning the data that you are getting in GA, right? You can exclude certain log files or certain kind of traffic. You can include certain kind of traffic. You can search and replace within the traffic. For example, if you have a complex site structure, you have subdomains and you have subdirectories and everything, then maybe you would want to collect all of the subdirectory data into a particular profile. Then you can use search and replace uh, I mean, most effectively, right? My 2 cents here is, unless and until you start playing around with GA, it will not be very easy to actually start using this. But this is a lot of information, so keep it simple. Start using GA first, get comfortable with the basic things, then get into applying exclude pattern, include pattern, and things like that. Let's talk about goals, because this is one place which you will be defining. The rest of the places, the filters and etc., most likely you will be assisted by somebody else. Even if it's not that difficult, but goals is something that you have to completely own. Okay. So what is a goal? A goal can be any activity on a website that is important to the success of your business. For simplicity, a web page which displays a confirmation for submitting an order could act as a goal. Okay. So each time a visitor meets a particular criteria, a goal is recorded. So whenever the visitor ended up landing upon that submitting an order page, the goal is recorded. During a single session, a goal can only be counted once. Okay. Uh, when and why would you use goals? Because goals are the closest um, metrics that will help you assess whether you're successful or not. You are essentially doing goal based analytics, nothing else. So you would want to assess how well your website meets the business objectives. You also want to estimate the revenue for a non e-commerce website. You can use goals for that as well, and to find out how many visitors are becoming customers, right? uh, some of the goal types are URL destination, time on site, or pages per visit, right? So in URL destination goal type, the idea is that a goal is recorded when a visitor views the specified page on your website. Okay, that specified page could be a specific URL, or it could be a URL which matches a certain pattern. Okay, one of the examples would be order completion page. Correct. Time on site is another very interesting goal type, and it's more relevant for sites which are content heavy. So goal will be counted when a visitor spends more or less time on your site than the predefined threshold. Whatever you mentioned, like 5 minutes or 3 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, that becomes the goal, and it helps in measuring the stickiness, right? So whether a particular page or particular service is engaging enough or not. And finally, the another goal type is pages per visit. And the goal will be counted when a visitor views more or fewer pages than the threshold. So in a particular visit or a particular session, if the user is visiting a lot of pages, that helps in identifying the depth of the visit. And that helps in that is very useful for content websites. So this is a very good course by Google itself, which I'll recommend. They are just simple 5 courses, and you can go as deep or as shallow as you want. Um, so this course, you should just go from the left to right. There are just 5 courses, and I think you can simply spend a weekend and you can finish the courses. But they'll give you a very good insight into Google Analytics and how you can use it. So to conclude, Google Analytics is one of the most important tools available in your toolkit for doing any kind of analytics, any kind of data, uh, any kind of initial data measurements. Okay, so a good understanding of Google Analytics is critical for your success, and I will strongly recommend that you spend some time learning from the course link that I have shared, because there are plenty of other links out there, but I think what Google has provided is pretty good. That's it for now. Thank you.